Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Prince Ty. It may be freezing outside if you're in the Northeast, but things on Survivor Game Changers are just heating up. There's, of course, a question in the back of everyone's mind: who is going to win this season? That is why I am here with Power Rankings, listing my top 5 contenders as to who will take it all home on day 39. Before we get to those contenders, I have a few people who almost made it, but aren't quite there yet. I have Caleb from Mana. Had a good, strong, middle-of-the-road episode. People seem to like him. He was mentioned as a target, and that immediately got shut down. He's talking to people. The problem is that, as far as his strategic contribution and most of his confessionals in the episode, he seemed more so a vehicle to set up Tony's boot, as opposed to anything for him. So I need to see more from him and what he's doing to better his game before I make him a specific contender. I have Sarah Lucina from Nuku, the Blue Tribe. She's talking about how she's going to be cutthroat, had a big confessional about how social she can be. I didn't see it in her original season. She literally talked herself into getting voted out. She has some crazy eyes, if you ask me. She didn't seem super convincing to me with Sari as far as having her back when not actually having her back. Thought it was pretty transparent. I need to see more. I think a lot of people are going to need to overlook her for her to actually get far, so she's not quite there. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Jeff Varner seems super aware of everything that's going on with his tribe. Everyone's talking to him. Malcolm's talking to him. Sandra's talking to him. Caleb's talking to him. Haley's talking to him. Everyone's talking to Varner. But I can't make you a contender if it is entirely possible that my fat ass is more physically fit than you. He did terrible in that second challenge. He also screwed up the keys in the first challenge. We were shown that. I feel like there's a reason, that reason being he's not a contender, at least not yet. That brings us to our top 5 contenders. At number 5, there's a saying that says that it takes a king to know a king. And I may only be a lowly prince, but I am certainly aware enough to know that Sandra is the queen, and I cannot do an initial power rankings without paying homage to the queen herself for the amazing first episode that she had. Sure, she's a huge target. Sure, that could come to bite her in the ass. There's a reason that she's only number 5 instead of anything higher. But as Jeff Varner pointed out, she made a 5-person alliance to put herself a majority within 15 minutes and still had the social cues to keep on tabs with Malcolm and keep on tabs with Caleb, and made sure that she didn't get a single vote and that her plan to divert in case of an idol worked out perfectly. I mean, we've already gushed about her on the podcast, so I don't need to go too far into it. But yeah, sure, she's a threat. We're seeing a new side of Sandra that we haven't seen before, where she's the obvious threat right out of the gate, as opposed to somebody who's sitting back more. But bring it on, and until somebody really puts an effort to try to stop her, I'm going to have her on this list. At number 4, I have, God help me, Brad Culpepper. I initially was going to put Sierra in this spot, because Sierra did get some big screen time. She did find the legacy advantage. All exciting things. She seems aware of what she needs to do to align with the big threats to hide herself. That being said, I felt like the more revelatory comment in that whole scene was Brad Culpepper, who seemed to be noting a change in his game that he needed to make, which was to let people come to him as opposed to him going to people. You saw Sierra going to Brad Culpepper. You saw her going to Ozzy. All that came of that was Ozzy being pissed at Sari. Not a lot of deep loyalties to Sierra. I feel like that is a hidden gem for Brad Culpepper. WWMD is going to be a big hashtag this season. I'm sure of it. And to that end, I see him getting very far and possibly being a dark horse Jeremy-type figure of a strong competitor who can also get through time and time again by being calmer and nicer. It could happen. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it could happen. Number 3, I've got Zeke. I feel like Zeke is in the best shape of anyone on the Blue Tribe based on the fact that he's gung-ho enthusiastic, and also, perhaps even more importantly, no one really knows him because nobody got to watch his season before they went back out there. So to that end, they don't know that he was running his alliance in, the Merge Tribe in Millennials versus Gen X. He's got great insights on the tribe dynamic with regards to Suri versus everyone else. He wants to help Suri, but he's not going to help Suri if it bites him. And overall, he's a strong challenge competitor. He's, as far as I'm concerned, somebody who could go really far. He's got his whole I belong here storyline, which maybe doesn't make him a contender to win, but it means he's going to get there, or at least close to there. Definitely see him as a merge maker in an episode 1. That's enough to make you a pretty strong contender. He can kind of go with the flow. Suri thinks he's with him, thinks he's with her. I don't know. I like Zeke. I think he's in a good spot. Number 2, I have to shamelessly plug myself because this is, after all, my segment. I have Haley. Haley, full disclosure, is my winner pick for this season because I didn't get to pick until like 5 or 6 out of our 6. That being said, she had a really great episode as far as I'm concerned. We didn't see a ton of her, but we did get the immensely interesting soundbite about her being a cobra amongst the snakes in the grass. And not only did she have that comment, but we subtly saw her in the rest of the episode. Who does Sandra go to make that alliance? First person she's talking to? Haley. Who is the one who suggests that we get Malcolm and Caleb in the Tony Boot plan? Haley. Haley's the one doing the talking with Caleb. Haley's talking to Varner. Haley's talking to Troyzan. She is making the social connections that she is good at making, and she's not going to be an obvious threat. She could truly be the Cobra of the season. In as much as we saw Michelle win Cao Rung, we could be looking at Haley getting a similar edit and thereby making it to the end. The groundwork's already been laid, so she is one of my top contenders for this episode. That being said, there is a clear frontrunner, if you ask me, as to who we should be preparing to give the $1 million check to. His name is Malcolm. Everyone loves Malcolm. There are probably some people who don't like Malcolm. You probably didn't have enough hugs as children. He's got clear insights on everything that's going on. Within like 2 minutes into the shipwrecking, he's joking with Haley about how Ozzy's doing his same old Ozzy shit again. You know, swimming and going super hardcore. He immediately picked up on Sierra being pushy and transitioned the boot from somebody like Tony, who would be a huge shield for him, into Sierra, who was doing his game no good. At the same time, he was smart enough to let Tony go when the time came. And again, you're seeing him talk with everyone. Varner and him are talking. Caleb and him are talking. Haley and him are talking. Sandra didn't want to leave him out of the vote, even though he's ostensibly not in her 5-person alliance. You're seeing him, Troyzan, of all people. Who does he tell about Tony digging for idols? Malcolm. Malcolm's in the middle of it all. He's a little bit wiser than he was in his last go-around, where he was just shamelessly bromancing and not being flexible. Overall, I think it's his game to lose at this point, but at the same time, I have to think Haley's going to do that because I picked her. Damn you, Elise. With that, we have our top 5 contenders. Malcolm number 1, Haley number 2, Zeke number 3, Brad number 4, and the Queen, Sandra, rounding out our top 5. Who's going to make it next week? Stay tuned. Look forward to talking to you then. Until then, as always, have yourself a good evening.